great things that he did while he walked on earth. And then, he died for us and he died on the cross. And over a lifetime of hearing about this over and over and over, you develop faith in Jesus Christ. Well, we don't have a mechanism on how we develop becoming wealthy, because that's not what we're taught. You're taught, go to school, get a job, work your way from the bottom up, and hopefully you'll achieve the top, when you're done at 50, 60 years old. And that's what you hear over and over and over. And so it's going to be a mindset change. 3% are going to get that, and 97% are going to get the other, which is work hard and do a job and do well, and hopefully you reach the top. So you're going to have to bombard your affirmation like I've done that over the last 20 years, and it's difficult. We're not taught. We weren't born in wealth. We weren't taught wealth principles. We weren't taught wealth in elementary. We weren't taught wealth going through. It's a different mindset. You're going to have to bombard yourself daily with that thinking if you're going to achieve it. And the book says it. Repeated affirmations to your subconscious mind is the only known method of developing the emotion of faith voluntarily. So it's not going to happen on day one. A week into your success venture, it's not going to happen at day 7. It's not going to happen week 7, month 7, probably not even by year 7. Now, the other thing is that this is really important. If you're working with people as they get older, not only are you trying to implant that success-minded, but now you're having, if the person's in their mid-30s, now you also have to undo 35 years worth of thinking in the old system. So if you take a baby and you tell that baby from the day they're born that they're going to be successful, they're going to be millionaires, it's probably going to be a little bit easier for that baby at 18 years old to have a success-minded outlook than if you start for the first time at 35 years old. The adage of can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's because we become ingrained in our thinking. So it's not that it's impossible. It's not that it's impossible to reach it. It's just that it gets harder. And then you start pouring on responsibilities. And then you have bills. And then you have credit that you have to pay for. And now you have kids and children and all these other duck in that E mentality, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to be compounding. Each one of you is in a different state right now. You're going to have to kind of figure out what are some of the things that are making it hard, and then figure out a plan on how you're going to reverse that. So let's clear that up. What is the faith back? What is the faith in? What are you building the faith? Oh, you'll have your mute buttons.
You're developing the emotion, and you're basically building faith so that it can help you visualize and believe in what you are becoming.
Nope. See, I think it's a difficult principle. It's simple, but it's difficult.
It's saying convince the subconscious mind that you believe you will receive what you asked for.
That's it right there.
You convince the subconscious mind that you believe what you
and to most people, that's like a cliche, and it's so basic that it boggles the mind how easily that, that surely can't be true. That's too simple.
And if you can't fathom that idea, you have to kind of trick your mind into starting to believe that. Like, when we first started with the firm, we weren't making the money we're making now. We literally did not believe that it was able to be done at that time. But as time went on, we developed more systems and put them in place, and then as we were able to raise up our revenue, and now we're believing we can do more than what we're doing now, and it's going to continue to grow until there's no barriers to our mind.
Well, that's where success breeds success, right? Because it all of a sudden you start knocking down some barriers, and then all of a sudden you start feeling or you start achieving certain results that. But I could tell you this: I mean, if there was a true belief at the beginning you would have never done it. We didn't know how high we were going to go, but we knew that we were climbing. Afraid to work. But we've got to, you guys are going to have to, you're throwing darts as to what the content is saying. And this faith portion is really, really important. It is that you got to help people develop their mindset that they want to achieve wealth, if that's what they want to do, that they can do it, but they're going to have faith that their mind will get them there, but they got to work on their mind, right? And we talked about this last week. The grind is in the mind, not I made more money working less than when I used to work, thinking that the idea was in 16, 17-hour days, and then the money doesn't show up. And it's like you're trying to force it. You're trying to will it consciously, and that's not when it shows up. The money starts showing up when you get an easy flow. You actually start believing that it's going to be there. So, Matt, you started last week. What where did you leave off? Where are you at in the book?
I just started chapter 4. I didn't read much the last week. I spent most of my weekend laying in bed on Vicodin.
Yeah, you had a surgery.
Yeah, so
but you
I
got
don't want to hold you guys behind, so I'm not saying much. But
you got to chapter 4, which is what the auto suggestion.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
Okay. So the chapter 4, the auto suggestion, is the actual how to. It's the how to chapter, right?
Yeah, they're talking about how to auto suggest. Yeah. Basically, what I got out of it is the power of belief, man. Yeah, that's the faith. Like, there's so much, like you said, we're conditioned to think like certain ways, but in order to really, like, you have to truly believe, like, without any doubt that what you're doing and how you're doing it. So that's, to me, that's kind of
you got to get to the point where you can visualize it. That's harder work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let Steve, I'm going to let you do the next 30 minutes or hour. I got to work on this appellate brief that I have tomorrow. But here's the thing, guys. Chapter 3 and 4. Chapter 4 actually talks about how to. Okay? You guys, I've sent a couple of different names of books. There's a book that I had read a long time ago. Psycho-Cybernetics, I'm gonna scratch that. It kind of tailed off. The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy, I think, really is the follow-up to Think and Grow Rich. That one's a real how-to.
Anything is possible.
It's a real deep, in-depth how-to book on basically chapter 4. And I'm out of town and I don't have everything that I wanted to cover in front of me, so I apologize. But you all talk about auto-suggestion, and then start kind of covering the musical aspect of what we use. Okay. How we do them, and then I think we need to work on a group on the internet, the group goal for the internet.
Okay. I thought we were doing marketing in general. Or is that one different goal, a goal for the internet?
Yes, I want to do that, but work on one because these guys right now are specifically doing internet. Let's work on that together, and then we can work on Matt. Well, if you're okay, we can talk later in the week, you and I, so we can talk about some.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Well, I mean, we can all get back on. We'll do it this week, though. I don't want to wait till next Tuesday. Go back to chapter 3, Steve, and on the faith issue. Talk about that and apply it to chapter 4, because you all have to. I think you all are giving you all got to go back and read this. You're giving the answers that you think sound good, but I don't think it's tying to the material. I don't think that's. Steve got it right away, but you all need to see what the book is talking about as far as faith.
Okay.
The faith is that you believe you will receive what you ask for. That's simple, but there's a lot there. All right, man. We'll talk soon. I got to get this done for tomorrow, guys.
Okay, man. Good luck.
Later.
All right. So the cool thing about this book is it kind of takes you step by step, right? So what was the first step?
The desire
Desire, right? And what is desire?
to want to have to have what you're asking for, but then that kind of leads into faith. But the bottom line is to want to, I guess.
Okay.
Desire is the most important part of everything that we're doing, because without the desire, you don't have any of the following. You won't acquire the faith. You won't acquire the rest of the principles.
It could be argued as the most important because it's the first step essentially, right? Like if you don't have a desire, then you're not going to do any of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but you have to have that burning desire to want to change that belief in yourself with the faith.
Well, yes, that's true. But like the book says here, chapter 2, page 19 on my book, it's desire. It's the starting point of all achievement, right? Once you have the desire, and the thing is desire comes kind of naturally. We're not trying to look for everybody to be a part of what we're trying to accomplish, and everybody's not going to fit. Desire has to come from within, in a sense. There has to be a desire to do something, whether it's to have the best family, whether it's to have the most money, whether it's to help the most people through, spiritual work or whatever the case may be, your social work. There has to be some sort of desire. If we're not here to. Okay, that desire has to be there starting off. That's the first step. And then the book talks about how you turn that desire into faith. Okay? Now, then it goes into talking about faith, and that's where kind of the chapter starts there. And it says in the first line of chapter 3, what does it say right there about faith? On the first page of chapter 3. What is faith? Not the unseen part, but just the bold lettering. What does it say right there?
It says
The very, very top, right after.
faith, love, and
Literally like right after chapter 3. It's a bold heading.
Visualizing and believing in the attainment of desire.
There you go. So that's kind of what the faith does, how it is associated with the desire, right? It's visualizing and believing in the attainment of desire. That's wanting the things unknown. It's what Rick talks about, convincing the subconscious mind that you believe you will receive what you ask for. That's what the faith is right there. Okay, so just kind of help kind of push it along. Think of it as steps, right? Desire is the first step. Faith is the next step. How do you create faith? That's the next chapter. Chapter 4 is this auto-suggestion. Okay, but let's delve in a little bit more on the faith chapter. So I'm going to kind of go over some of the points that I've seen that that I'm going to point out to you guys that I feel are kind of important. Just going through the book real quick. What is, when you talk about these auto suggestions, it's a little bit further in the chat in the book, but there's something that you have to have attached to your desire and belief that gives you a lot of faith. What is that?
You have to have say that again.
Something that you attach to your belief and your visualization that gives you faith.
Oh, emotion.
Talks about it in the book.
Emotion. You have to
There
have
you go.
Emotion.
Emotion.
Connection.
Why is the emotion so important?
Because that's how you kind of dive deeper into the subconscious mind.
It's kind of like part of the desire is the emotion attachment.
Okay.
And for me, I guess, I mean, I would say that openly to say, like, without an emotional attachment to have that desire, then it means nothing to me.
Well, I think going back to the very top, visualizing and believing in the attainment of desire, the emotion is what attaches the belief. It's where you have the faith, right? It says right here, they have the effect of coloring the vibration of thought in such a way that it instantly reaches the subconscious mind. So that's the whole objective, right? To get the faith is to get to your subconscious mind. So without the emotion, you're not going to be able to get to your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind will reject it. Okay, automatically. Because that emotion is what gives you the belief. And if you don't have the belief, then it's not, your subconscious mind is going to call your bullshit out, basically. Now, there's different types of emotions that we can attach to our thoughts, which, like, that's what Tyler was talking about the faith, the love, and the sex. Those are the most powerful and all the major positive emotions. But it's really interesting when they say it has the effect of coloring the vibration of thought. So if that's saying it has the effect of coloring the vibration of thought, in quotes, coloring, to me that is important in the sense that coloring can be interpreted as many different ways of having a certain vibration, right? You can have good vibrations, bad vibrations. I had a dream, and I was telling Rick about it last night. This is one of the ways that I think that we could really help transmutate thoughts into monetary equivalent. Okay, so you know we always talk about the hypnosis and the affirmations and how that's a little bit outside the box, and people are gonna have a hard time understanding that and believing in that. Okay, so going back to what Rick was saying, everybody's heard of in the Bible for the most part, whether they're religious or not, trying to get religious or anything, but even there's sayings that say, be careful what you ask for, because everybody knows asking you shall receive, right? But not everybody actually believes that, okay? So I had a dream that I was listening to a song, and it was that Beach Boys songs, Good Vibrations. Have you all heard that song? Good vibration.
It's a classic song.
It's a classic song. Everybody knows that song, and everybody can appeal to that song, and everybody knows what vibrations are for the most part. Like, oh man, you have a cool vibe. I'm getting a cool vibe from you. And it's cool to have a cool vibe, right? So what if you are giving good vibrations? Isn't that essentially what affirmations are? Is it's giving coloring, it's coloring the vibration of thought. So I think that maybe something we may be able to implement within our system to help people who are just starting off feel comfortable with doing affirmations, because that's how they are getting what they ask for, by giving off good vibrations. How do you give good vibrations? By repeatedly asking what do y'all think about that?
I totally agree with that, and I think it kind of explains a lot about, you know, the like-mindedness of people, like how laws of attraction occur, and also it says, you know, both poverty and riches are the offspring of thought. So, you know, what the underlying principle is that you fall asleep thinking is, again, what you're going to wake up with. That's that same feeling, unless you correctively.
Yeah, and I don't know how I had this dream, but instantaneously it was like the weirdest thing, bro. I felt like I didn't actually have it in the dream, but I felt the sense of like I had a uncashed lottery ticket check in my hand that I just needed to go cash. Like that's how much of a feeling that I had, that I was already had success, that I just need to go to the store and cash the check. That's how it felt in my dream. I can't explain it. And then I came up with a shirt too. And all in the same dream, it was like a weird dream. But you know how Rick's shirt is, the grind is in the mind? Mine is really simple.
Yeah.
It's change your mind. It's beyond just like the typical, oh, I change your mind. No, it's like literally change your mind, dude.
Well, I saw something today too relative. One of my friends said, "Change isn't change until it is
Change is a
challenged."
change. Let's say it's challenge.
So think about that. Change is not change until it is challenged, because then what are you going to do? You're going to revert to the way that you were before that change occurred, typically, unless you create a habit around that in order to grow out of that change that occurred. So that is kind of it. I think that underlying message that he was trying to say.
That's pretty deep. I think another perspective to look at it is change is not change unless there's challenge, because if you just go along with it, then it's the status quo. It's only change unless there's a discrepancy between what was before. That's interesting. That's cool. Okay, so let's go on. So it talks about how to develop faith. It says, faith is a state of mind that may be induced or created by affirmation or repeated instruction to the subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion. The object is naturally to acquire the ability to transmute the intangible thought impulse of desire into its physical counterpart, money. That's where he talks about the part that Rick was talking about. Faith is basically there to convince the subconscious mind that you believe you will receive what you ask for. It will act upon that belief, passing back to you in the form of faith, followed by definite plans for procuring your goal. Okay, so part of the faith is not necessarily having all the answers up front. That's where the faith comes in. And as you have the faith, then you're going to be opening up. It goes back and says that, it says, color vibration of thought in such a way that instantly reaches the subconscious mind, where it is changed into spiritual equivalent, the only form that induces a response from infinite intelligence. Okay, so can you get to the infinite intelligence if you don't have faith? Okay,
No.
and why do you want infinite intelligence?
It allows you to tap into the creative side of the intelligence instead of the synthetic.
Imagination, creative imagination. But why is creative imagination better than synthetic imagination? And Matthew, this is probably a little bit further up in the book. You'll read this. It's like in chapter 6.
Because creative imagination.
Let's go back, because I don't know if Matthew's that far yet. What is the difference between the synthetic and creative imagination?
Can give me my opinion. I don't know what the book says.
That's cool. We'll start with that.
I mean, I just think creative imagination. The imagination is only limited by your synthetic imagination. So, because conscious. That's your conscious. So you're only programmed to think what you think, but your creative imagination connects to that endless flow. So if you're able to unlock it, there's no limits to what you can do.
You're definitely on the right track, man. So the synthetic imagination. You want to take this one, Chad, or you want me to get it? Okay, synthetic imagination is basically a redo, a remash up, a reassessment of existing ideas, thoughts, everything else. In fact, if you go to chapter 6, let's just go to the exact definition so that way I'm not butchering it. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm going to pull it up right now.
Shit, I don't remember. Let me see.
Okay, synthetic imagination. Through this faculty, one may arrange old concepts, ideas, or plans into new combinations. This faculty creates nothing. It merely works with the material of experience, education, and observation with which it is fed. Creative imagination, on the other hand, is through the facility of creative imagination, the finite mind of humankind has direct communication with infinite intelligence. It is a faculty through which hunches and inspirations are received. It is by this faculty that all basic or new ideas are developed. It is through this faculty that thought vibrations to the minds of others are received. And it is through this faculty that one individual may tune into or communicate with the subconscious mind of others. So, after hearing that definition, what's the benefit of the creative imagination versus synthetic imagination?
You can read minds.
It's basically a resource spectrum, right? Like, do you want to deal with just this little pot of ideas in the universe, or any ideas that have ever been thought of? I mean, that's basically what it's talking about. Like, it'd be like you going to school and saying, hey, you have to take this test. You can only use what's in your head, or you could take the test and you get access to Google. I think everybody's going to pick Google all day, every day. It's just, it's way more abundant of information, you know? And so that's what it kind of is talking about right there. So let's go back over to chapter 3 here. So what do thoughts have to be mixed with in order to translate themselves into physical equivalent? No, we talked
Actions.
part of it about it earlier. What do you have to mix your thought with for it to become a belief?
Thoughts have to be.
In fact, you're the one who answered it, Chad, earlier. What's going to give you the belief?
Oh, auto suggestion.
No, that's the
Auto suggestion.
way to create faith. What do you attach to your thoughts? We talked about earlier emotion. All thoughts with it have been emotionalized, given feeling, and mixed with faith, begin immediately to translate themselves into their physical equivalent or counterpart. All right. So the first thing is the thought. You have a desire. You have a desire as the first step, and then those desires bring thoughts into your mind, and then those thoughts are mixed with emotion and faith, and that's when things begin to translate themselves into physical equivalent. Then with autosuggestion, that builds your faith, and then the ideas start coming to you. Any impulse of thought which is repeatedly passed onto the subconscious mind is finally accepted and acted upon. The feeling portion of thoughts give thoughts vitality, life, and action. That's why the emotion is so important. Because if you don't have the emotion, you don't have the vitality, life, and action. You got to give your thoughts that existence, the power, in other words. thoughts are things, right? But they're not things if they don't have any emotion attached to it. So when you're reading your affirmations, when you're going over your ideas and stuff, that's where you have to tie your emotion to it and actually say it with feeling. I don't know if you've ever seen that SNL skit where he talks about man, I don't remember the exact verbiage. He's like, I'm pretty. I believe in myself. And he's looking in the mirror. Did y'all ever see that SNL skit? I believe in myself. And he's looking in the mirror. Never mind then. We'll skip that. But there's always, you know, you'll see movies or whatever. They say, oh, say it with belief. Say it like you mean it.
No.
You know? Or maybe you've had a girlfriend or something and you say, yeah, I love you. And she's like, oh, say it like you mean it. You know? I'm sure you've heard that before. If you haven't heard that, then yeah, right, I don't believe you. Or your mom or something at least. Sheesh. But that's what the meaning is. Even we as humans, without even reading this book, even understand that as an underlining ideology is if you don't mean it, then don't say it. Say what you mean, right? And that's the same thing with your thoughts. You gotta mean what you think, in other words. And that way you'll have much better results if you're able to do it that way. And that way you'll have much better results. All right, let's see. If you're able to do it that way. All right, let's see. What are some of y'all's thoughts from this chapter that you read, Matthew? Anything that stood out for you? From this chapter that you read, Matthew? Anything that stood out for you?
Which chapter 3 or chapter 4?
Chapter 3. We're still in faith right now.
Oh, I mean, the biggest thing, like kind of what I said earlier, and I want to go back and reread that because chapter 3, things got a little bit more complex in chapter 3 than the first two, I thought. But just about having that faith and that belief system, and just really believing in what you're doing. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I want this or I want to do that," and they even like to say it, but you know, they don't. They're not sending the right messages to the subconscious, and they don't actually believe it. And you can tell by most people because as soon as things get hard, they're bored, or they have a fallback plan. You know, and I think if you truly believe in what you're trying to accomplish, like there is no other option. Like this is going to happen. Like I don't have a fallback plan.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely relate to that, man. I could definitely. If you have a plan B, then plan A, you're expecting to fail, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
If you have a plan B, then plan A, you're expecting to fail, huh? I mean, I think that with that being said, failure is a part of success, right? So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Failure is a part of success, so just because you fail doesn't mean that you're looking to plan B. It just means that you're finding a different way to accomplish plan A, right? So I think we have to be careful with understanding that because then someone's going to say, oh, well, you failed at this. You went to plan B. And that's not necessarily true, right?
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes it's not a plan B. Sometimes, you know, you try something, it doesn't work, and you learn, and you just change the plan A. It doesn't necessarily
exactly. That's what I'm trying to get across because, you know, there's leaders out there, they're going to say, oh, you failed at your plan A. No, I didn't follow my plan A. It's just, it's a different way of getting, accomplishing plan A. It's not failing at plan A.
None of us have to explain our plan to anyone.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I'm saying some people, you know, they get troubled when things don't go their way. Yeah. And it's just a affirmation of the same thing. Don't let your mind think that, you know.
Gotcha.
Sounds like you're ahead of the game, so it doesn't really apply to you, but for other people, and not necessarily on this call or anything, but
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Sounds like you're ahead of the game, so it doesn't really apply to you, but for other people.
I kind of took it like personal, not like an insult, just like what I should learn. But then as you talked, I was like, oh, okay, this is what he means for other people. Not like an insult, just like
yeah.
What I should learn. But then as you talked, I was like, oh, okay, this is what he means for other people.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like that it talks about says when people first come into contact with crime, they abhor it. If they remain in contact with crime for a time, they become accustomed to it and endure it. if they remain in contact with it long enough, they eventually embrace it and become influenced by it. So I think that explains, a lot of what we see with even poverty, or even ourselves, right? Like how we're here on this call, like we are attracted, we are influenced to what is going on here, right? And we want to try to embrace that. But if we're accustomed to it long enough, it's almost like you might think of, kind of like how let's say we're close to success, but we don't even realize it yet. And, but there's also that point where you hit that over the top level where you might actually stop to smell the roses. You're like, oh, wait, I've actually believed in this for so long. I've had faith in this for so long, had that desire for so long, that I am finally at that point where I can say that I feel like I'm successful. Because my friends are like, man, you're doing it right. Like, you're doing good. Don't forget about me when you hit the big leagues, stuff like that. I'm like, it's not even like that. I don't even feel like that. I mean, okay, well, I don't have anything. I feel like I don't have anything, but I know that I have worked hard because I've had that faith for so long. I've had that endurance, that desire to want to, quote unquote, be successful, whatever that means in my mind. And then I try to surround myself with those people that I see, that I have that vision, that they have that same type of mentality as well. So it's kind of, I don't know, I guess just going back into the faith, like I have faith that there are other people out there that are doing what we can do, and they're no smarter than me or you. They just know what it is that they're doing and have that faith, that drive.
So
smart
that-
kid,
Yeah,
maybe
definitely
money,
put her on the list. That's for sure.
they still do it.
That goes to what I was thinking when you guys were talking earlier. Sorry, by the way, I had to restart. But anyways, that kind of goes back to what I was kind of thinking is like, it's all about like we talked about the word influence and then influencer and things of that nature, but I think it comes down to the see, I hate to say it like this, but it almost kind of makes me feel with every conversation that we're having, part of the conversation, it makes me feel like there's a sponsor, right? So it's like you're influenced by the person who believes in what you are doing. And I think when somebody believes in you, it's like almost like let's talk about somebody who's driven by somebody who believes in them, and let's talk about somebody who is derived from somebody who doubts them, right? So I think that it's all either way. It's some
Try to
sort
give
of
us an
push.
example of what you're talking about, Tal.
Like a sponsor, like if you go through, okay, like when they go to these Alcohol Anonymous, like these meetings or whatever, they're around people who has, some of them have changed, and they might be on their 2-year chip, 3-year chip, and this guy just started, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the goal is to influence somebody, and the only way that they know how, or the only way that's been proven, the only way that's shown, I should say, is because the desire for them to quit what their habit is to show up, right? And that's kind of the first step of desire of saying, hey, I don't want that no more. I don't know if I'd call it desire, but I'm trying to put it in a situation with us. Like, if I show up, that's my desire. Like,
Yeah, that's proof of your
showing up,
desire.
knowing what
That's proof of your desire by being there initially.
correct. That's the first part of what I'm trying to say. So then the second part is more about the faith, right? So the second part, what I'm trying to say about the faith and how we can achieve that is through somebody who believes in it. Well, that's kind of the way that the people work, is that they say, hey, I did this because 3-4 years ago I used to be an alcoholic and this, that, and the other, and they decided to come in and basically help them and try to achieve that 100-day mark or that 5-day mark, whatever their little goals are along the way. But the influence was the guy who had already been through it. The influence was to see the thing. So in a way, the faith is just getting them to believe in themselves, and then it becomes a little bit more tangible by seeing somebody who actually went through something similar and then achieving what they've achieved.
Okay, so let's take your example real quick and I think this is what you're trying to do, but I'm gonna see if I can add on to what you said already, because I think what you're saying is pretty powerful. Okay, but I'm gonna try to add on to it. So if we're dissecting that scenario to what we're learning in the book, right? The initial part that, hey, I don't want to become an alcoholic, that's a desire, right? Okay, then the next step is faith. Well, how do you get that faith? By having thoughts and mixing emotion, and also mixing an emotion and believing in that, right? So how does that faith get drawn up? It's through the stories that they're hearing of somebody doing it before them.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
So that is the affirmation. The affirmation, that auto-suggestion, is them repeatedly hearing the stories every day of how somebody already did it before them. If they can do it, I can do it. And that's where the belief starts to come, right? So the emotion of the thought, attaching the thought of the emotion of I want that, plus the belief creates the faith, and that's done through the continual testimonials of the affirmations of every day someone coming in and saying, hey, my name is Steve. I used to be an alcoholic, but now I'm 50 days clean. And next month, I'm 60 days clean. And the month after that, I'm 90 days clean. And at that time, they're also building themselves because now they're 30 days clean when they were 0 at first.
Well,
And now,
just real quick, I was going to throw this in there too, because you made me think of something else as you just said that, is that think about when they go around the circle. They always have people say, hey, I'm XYZ clean, 50 days clean. This guy's 10 days clean. Everybody has a story, even if it's a small 10 days or, 365 days. That little small could be the small step, but it's a constant thing as they go around the circle. So therefore, they're already hearing it in just a small group of 5 or 6 people.
well, isn't a small story, even if it's their first day, because their first day story is going to be shit story. It's going to be there through the ringer. That's what motivated them to come to this class to begin with. Something so treacherous and harmful to where they got themselves up to decide to go to an AA class because they just didn't want to be there anymore. Isn't that an affirmation within itself to the guy that's been there 150 days clean of that's exactly where I don't want to be?
Yep.
So regardless of how you want to slice it, dice it, the affirmation is there the whole time. Whether you have the worst shit story or you have the best story, those are affirmations within themselves. And those affirmations lead to the faith, and the faith leads you to the next step. That's a good point, Tyler. I like that. So go back to what you were talking about earlier, where you were talking about giving an example where somebody believes in you, and then giving an example of, what did you say, someone doesn't believe in you?
Right. So people are a little bit more empowered. Some people, I know for me, I'm both, right? And what I mean by that is like, when somebody believes in me and I feel like they're supportive, right? The support, and that support really helps me guide me through to getting to the next level, right? But I'm also guided by the doubters, right? So the people that tell me, oh, you won't be able to, you can't do that. You won't be able to do that. Those people,
The naysayers.
I not only naysayers, those are the people I love watching them. Once I get up there, I like looking down upon them just because. And that's just the way I work. And I've had a lot of that. And I'll tell you this, they all are sorry at some point.
Tyler's a savage, man.
they all were sorry. But I motivate based off of that. And I'll tell you, I've been through a lot in the last 3 or 4 years, but I will say this, is that when you get somebody like myself, and it's like the never ending cycle, because I can go either way. I can be motivated off of my support. Like right now, this group is a support. And then, of course, the wife and family, for me, that's my support. So I have 2 support systems guiding me, directing me, in a positive way, right? Then,
Okay, how does that apply to the book, Tyler?
Because it's all about the auto. It's about the desire. It goes back to desire. That's what I'm trying to say. Is
What do you
go
do
back
with your
to-
thoughts? What does the book say about the thoughts? What do you have to attach to your thoughts?
Well,
become
that's
faith?
what the emotional part, right? So that's the emotional.
So what
that's-
emotion
that's
is
not
that?
the point.
From your family, that's a love, right?
Yeah, it's all emotion.
Yeah, that's the emotion that's being attached.
So
That's why you're having
emotion
so much faith.
drives the desire. Emotion will drive the faith. Emotion, you can pretty much, if you have emotion, period. And that's what I'm trying to say. Is like there's two different roads that people get motivated from. Well, the motivation is not really necessarily motivation as much as it is the emotion that is attached to either side of it. Just depends on how a person moves or reacts.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you two things, Tyler. I want you to know that I'm here for you at all times. So I'll be your support in a positive way. And that way we can get to 50 G's a month on the SEO. And I'm going to tell you, you can't make 50 G's in your best day in the world, bro.
Don't
You
cap
can't do 50 G's in a year, son. See, that just double motivated you, bro.
That's it.
All right. Well, that's. I'm glad you brought that up, Tyler. Those are some good thoughts. What else you got? You seem like you're on a roll right now.
Well, these are all thoughts that I had like when I sent out that email, right? And then I was trying to really engage to where I was going with it. And Matt, I don't know if Matt was attached to the email. I'm not sure. Matt, did you get my email with all that or?
Is that the one that I told you were starting to get on the right track?
Yeah, I gave the faith warning.
Yeah. Starting to get on the right track.
Okay. Well,
Hey Matt, did
basically-
you get put on Idea Plus
I don't think
Action?
Matt was in
Yeah,
our.
he's on there. Everybody's on there, but Rick, Beth, and Bobby and Alexis.
Okay. So just us.
Everybody else on there. So we just gotta get them to sign up. So,
Okay.
just a few. Anyways, what I was gonna say is, basically the whole point is when it comes to the way that, you know, and that's kind of why what Rick said tonight was what he told me on the phone, right? And that's what I was trying to say in the email is basically you go to church and again, warning here, but you go to church and basically go back to you get brought up with it, right? So that becomes your, and what I was trying to say is the auto suggest is already is throughout the Bible almost if you guys are, you know, readers or whatever, because what happens is you got different people telling the same story, and what happens is that it tells you that story over and over, but in a different viewpoint. Well, the same thing is like when you're going through what we're building systems, right? The whole point, the reason why we come together in a sense of building systems is because we want to hear everybody's viewpoint. Because here's the thing, what you think of or what I think of may be two different things, but the idea is that we're creating the same thought over and over and over again, but in a different way. Does that make sense?
We're creating the same thought over and over and over.
Go a little bit more into detail on that one.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, if I were, let me think of another example, the best way I can really say it. So if I was going to, I'll use, you know, I'm not a fitness buff, well, I never was, but anyways, I go to the gym, right? If I were to go into the gym, like I used to do powerlifting, right? That was my thing. And one thing about it, I loved going to the gym. I used to go and I used to walk in there and I would pick a machine, this machine, that machine, didn't have no idea really what muscle, this, that, and the other. Okay, so then what did I do? I said, you know what? I'm going to do this challenge. It's called, I don't know if you ever heard of a company called Advocare. So,
Advocare?
Yeah.
Advocare, the 24-day challenge and stuff. So I went in and I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the 24-day challenge. And what it was is what it came down to is they basically, you bought this $100-some thing and they give you all these supplements, and a lot of the supplements are like, you know, what you're eating, which is your drink and this and the other. The whole thing is that I changed the way that I did it, right? So then after that, I was successful. Then I went to something else to try it and I became successful. The whole point of what I'm trying to say is that different ways that people have done it, and I kept reading and researching, so that every time that I was reading something, even though it was something different, I was still coming to that motivational point, or of saying, I'm going to do this, and this is where I'm going, and I'm getting it auto-suggested in a way from all the information I'm taking in, right? So with my emotion and desire to do the workout, and then it comes from everything that I was doing, essentially, of research and coming in to hearing, and that was the other thing. A lot of the research that I did was reading, or watching, let's just go with this one. I was watching Pump Iron with Arnold, and how basically, like, Arnold was like, he was a mind effort, because he basically went in there and told that guy, the other guy, the Hulk. Yeah, the Hulk. He told the Hulk, basically, yeah, he was just like messing with him the whole time, like through on the bus ride, even on the end of the movie or whatever documentary, and then he was just messing with him, and the whole thing is that was just one thing. When I was reading up on some other stuff, on some other people, there was just so many different people saying, hey, I did this. This is how I did it. Hey, I did this. This is how I did it. And then you see the results. You see the befores and afters. You see this. And then voila. Now I'm emotionally attached. I got, everything that I say that I'm going to do. And I did it. I accomplished my goal at that point. This was before life happened. But, I was actually, showed Chad some pictures. I mean, I don't even look like myself in those pictures Chad said. And you would, it was a good time for me, physically. But it was one of those things to where I just put my mind to it, and I went down the road. And I'm not, as far as going to the gym and all that, I'm nowhere near in that mental state. But I'm just, back then I was, and that's the way I did it. And I'm thinking it applies to what we're talking about because of the desire, the faith, and then also the auto-suggest that comes into play, just listening to everybody and then having the faith that you're going to do it even though you're not there yet, but you're thinking that you're there, seeing something that you don't see. You look in the mirror and your faith has to be strong, because when you look in that mirror and you're not seeing a six-pack, not that that's what I was going for, but I'm just saying, if you don't see it, you got to have faith that I'm going to get it. It's going to happen, and that you just keep going over and over again.
Yeah, you definitely have to. But it's easier to have faith when you see so many people have done it before you, though, right? That's the tough part. Where we're talking about here is like what we're trying to accomplish is very few and seldom, So it's easier to see what everybody else is doing, and that's what's influencing our subconscious mind. That's where we have to get good at being able to influence our own subconscious mind through the auto-suggestion.
And I think that's what we're missing right now. I think, and I don't know if I would say missing, but I will say this. Let's just say, if we all, and I'm not putting anybody on low, high, medium, whatever, because I'm just giving a scenario, right? But what if we all had, maybe one of you do, I don't know, but if we all had $1 million sitting in the bank, if we all equally had that sitting there, and it was one thing of success stories, right? And that was our success story, saying, you know what, I made this $1 million and I'm turning into $2 million because I did this. And then you come into the room and, hey, I made this $1 million, I'm going to make $2 million because of this. And then, Matt comes in the room, says the same thing. Chad comes in the room, says the same thing. And now we've already built something. We built the ongoing thing that we've been trying to sit here and think, how can we do it for somebody that began? Well, the bottom line is I think how we're going to be able to do this way, or I'm sorry, the way that I'm thinking is that we have to do it in a repetitious way from many different people. And I think that's the only way that, well, not the only way, but I think that it's one of the many ways to really start it and to really grasp things. And I think by just telling them, I mean, like for me, I feel like, I can tell my story all day long of when I was down in Texas, the Home Alone, and then, you know, coming to doing what I'm doing and being here. I mean, the story for me to tell should automatically send somebody a signal and say, well, this guy hasn't been doing it that long, but he's already getting a picture. Well, maybe I should at least pick it up. Maybe I should at least think about that first chapter. Or maybe I should see what they're talking about, because everybody's talking so great about it. And, you know, it's like, that's the way it starts is you know, a multitude of people. I mean, look at social media.
I agree. And that's what we're trying to create right now. It's a simultaneous thing, right? We're simultaneously working on ourselves to create the culture, to create the testimonials. But at the same time, actually figuring out this whole system all together so where we can replicate it to teach other people, right? And as we get advanced on one of them, we get more advanced on the other one, right? Because if we're advancing ourselves, then we're advancing our testimonials, which is going to advance the culture, which is going to advance our training company, right? So it's working simultaneously. And I agree with you on that, that's for sure. And that's why I can see growth from when everybody, except for the exception of Matthew, just because he's just starting with us, but from where Chad was when we first started to where he's at today, night and day. From where Tyler started, from where we're at today, night and day. And maybe not night and day so much in all aspects of everything, but the most important part, which is the mental part, is night and day. And it's instantly can become night and day from today till 3 months from now. And that's exciting because think about how much growth you've had. Yeah, that's a testimonial for sure.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is it's like, it's nowhere near it, like, I just feel like we're so strong in what we're doing that all this that we keep talking, you know, like I get it, you know, actually just now maybe, I'm not gonna lie, maybe this came to me now why I get it, but I get it because what's happening here is that I'm already getting brain, you know, F now, because what I'm thinking is like, we go through this every Tuesday. Why do we go through it all the time? And really, one day is not enough. So, but we do it at least one day because we need that repetitiveness, right? And then don't think that, you know, when we're not on the call, that I don't get calls from Chad and saying, hey, what's going on? And Rick, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know, so throughout the week, a span, really, I'm having a one-on-one with people, so really, I'm doing it more than one time. It's just because that's the repetitiveness, and I just kind of blew my mind right now. But yes, that was the concept. You know, you're digging deeper into the thought, and I think tonight has been a good meeting for me because even though I had to restart my computer, but it just makes sense of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I like what we're doing with this, and I think it's going to start evolving. I think it's going to start evolving faster as we progress through everything. And Matt gets probably some sleep or something. I know he's probably ready to wear out over there. No, man, you've been his trooper, buddy. I see you over there. You're like, oh.
Mad props to Matt, man. Mad props to Matt.
I'm listening, man. I'm listening.
No, you're good. No, I trust me. If I was in your shoes, man, just I would be already out, knocked out.
I think he's important, man. That's why I'm here. You know.
No, I see that, man, because I see you're like next level stuff there, buddy. I don't know.
Your proof is in the pudding for sure, Matt. We appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you.
Your presence is motivational.
No, for real, it really is. Because if I had my nose surgery, I'm in bed, buddy. I ain't gonna lie. I might bring a laptop and think about it.
I spent the whole bed high on Vicodin, so
Jeez.
like I was texting Chad, but I don't even know what the fuck I was texting him.
That's something to consider once we move along, right? Because as we grow this thing, all of us will have our own little groups at some point, right? And maybe Chad and Tyler will probably be in the same group possibly still, or maybe they'll have their own teams within their team. I don't know. That's hope. That's what the hope is, right? And the vision in the future. But that's kind of where we talk about the different levels of motivation, okay? Because when you talk about motivation is, like we talked about the other day, it's inspiring mental growth. Maybe somebody doesn't act upon it per se, but there are different levels of motivation. The first level is you get motivated. somebody tells you something or you read something, and that's not even doesn't count. That's the first level is you getting motivated by somebody else. That's the first level of motivation. So like Matthew, you can probably relate to this when you're talking about nutrition and eating right and everything. You're motivating somebody to make a change in their life as far as eating differently, right? So you're the motivated person. The next step is motivating yourself, right? So now, Matt, you talked to them for a couple of weeks. Now they're kind of getting in the habit, and they don't need you anymore in the sense of motivation. They still need you as an expert in nutrition, but they don't need you for the motivation anymore. Now they're motivating themselves because it's already becoming a habit, right? Then the next step is they start to motivate other people. So now they become a Matt, and now they're telling their friends and family and their kids and everything, hey, you better eat right because Matt said, right? And then the next step is you're able to motivate groups of people, and that's the highest level of motivation. Like what's his name, Tony Robbins or Gary Vee or somebody like that. That's like getting into influencer level kind of situation where you can motivate groups of people to do things. Gandhi's, Hitler's in a bad way, but it's the same thing. They motivate people, groups of people, and that's the highest level of motivation.
Yeah, I'm already working on that, man.
What's that?
I'm already working on that, man. Social media, you can touch masses of people quick.
Yeah, you can for sure.
On that, man. Social media, you can about 3,600 right now.
Damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah, you
Trying to
can
grow. I have a
followers
friend.
now.
He does a lot. A lot of my the digital marketing I learned from him. So he does a lot. He boosts my account a lot. He does a lot. A lot of my the digital marketing I learned. I just handle content. He does a lot.
So, is there anything else that y'all saw? So does the faith part make more sense now after kind of discussing a little bit more in detail of what it actually, the purpose of the faith is, how to get the faith?
I say yes because I keep thinking about how it's not. I know what faith is. You don't see it, but it's not a matter of just seeing it. It's about what you're believing and what you ask for, and that's how it goes in hand in hand.
Okay. Remember this part, guys. I think this is the most important part about this faith chapter, and that's the portion.
Remember this part, guys. I think this is the most important part.
On my book, it's page 45,
And that's the
but it's under the How to Believe Faith tab. It's like on the second bold titling heading under chapter 3. It says how to develop faith. Y'all see that?
Titling heading under chapter 3. It says how to
Tyler, you find it?
It's under chapter 3.
Yeah, chapter 3, the second bold heading, how to develop faith.
Tyler, you find it?
It's under chapter
Okay.
3.
Yeah, chapter 3, the second bold
Oh,
heading,
yeah.
how to develop faith.
Okay.
Okay.
Where it talks about chapter 11 on the subconscious mind, by following the instructions laid down in chapter 3 on auto-suggestion, chapter 11 on the subconscious mind.
Where it talks about chapter 11 on the subconscious
That next
mind,
section,
by following
you may
the
convince the
instructions
subconscious
laid down
mind that you
on
believe you will
auto-suggestion,
receive
chapter
what you
11 on the
ask
subconscious
for.
mind.
It's probably like the most important part of this whole chapter.
Subconscious mind that you believe you will receive
That's
what
what
you
faith
ask for.
is doing for you.
It's probably like the most important.
It's convincing your subconscious mind that you believe you will receive what you ask
That's
for.
what faith
Believe what you ask for.
is doing for you.
You will convince your subconscious mind that you believe you will receive what you ask for.
Believe what you ask for.
Because remember, if you believe with your conscious mind, that's going to go out the window pretty quickly.
You will receive what you ask for.
Okay, so you got to get to that subconscious mind level. And that's why it talks about, where is it at?
Conscious mind level. And that's why
You have all thoughts which have been emotionalized and mixed with faith. That's what's going to begin to immediately translate themselves into the physical equivalent or counterpart.
Steve,
Yeah.
are y'all covering the format of affirmations?
We haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're kind of talking about a lot of different things. We didn't even get to chapter 4 yet. We're still on faith.
What were y'all covering?
Well, Tyler had another Home Alone moment here,
Oh, Lordy, shorty.
live on camera.
What happened, Tyler? Did he actually grab his face?
No, not quite. Tell him, Tyler.
What was the Home Alone moment, Tyler?
Well,
Most.
I was just sitting there thinking about how there was a big long discussion prior, but the whole thing is about repetitive, because that's how we're going to, that's basically the repetitive, we talk about it, and that's the way that we basically get our subconscious to start grasping it, right? So I got to thinking about it, and I was like, as I said that, and I was really thinking about the story that we were going back and forth with, then I said, wait a minute. I said, so now it makes even more sense because we're doing the meetings one time a week, which is really not enough, but I see where the auto suggest come in because don't think, and I was telling Steve, I said, yeah, don't think I don't get a call from Chad to talk about stuff like this, and then Rick calls, and then I said, all this is, maybe throughout the week or whatever, but it's like an auto thing. It's an auto suggest. So I got to thinking about that, and I was like, wow. I was like, wait a minute, that's within itself. So that's kind of how it drew my attention to back to what we were discussing with a story or whatever. But yeah, I was just thinking about the auto suggestion and everything.
I agree that obviously it's being repetitious, but let's get the meaning of words straight real quick. What is suggestion? What is the definition of suggestion? What is suggestion?
Well, it's
an idea. It's an idea, right? Implanted or request.
Yeah.
Auto doesn't mean that it's automatic. Auto means self in that sense. So it means auto suggestion means what?
Well, it means that you're
Self-implanted ideas.
recognizing.
Auto suggestion means no. It means that it's a self-implanted idea. So suggestion is that a hypnotist tells you that you're
Getting sleepy, very sleepy.
or that you're going to be quacking like a chicken. So they planted an idea, the suggestion into your head, and then you start acting like a chicken. Auto-suggestion is you telling yourself that you're going to act like a chicken, and then you start acting like a chicken. So it's just like biography versus autobiography, right? If it's an autobiography, it's one that you write about yourself. So auto-suggestion means if it's an autobiography, it's one that you write an idea that it was self-planted. So auto-suggestion means
Well, right. Okay. Yeah. So I guess what I was trying to say, in a sense, is that the suggestion was there, and because it usually is a discussion of some sort, and it's back and forth, it then allows me to do the auto part of that. So that's what I was trying to say.
That's correct. You're even I don't think
He's building the faith to do the auto suggestion.
I was reading a book, and I don't know which one it is. It's not Think and Grow Rich. All suggestion becomes auto-suggestion. Okay? Now, here's why. Because even if you're with a hypnotist, if a hypnotist makes a suggestion to you, right? Then you take that and you accept it, and you allow it to implant into your subconscious. So even all forms of suggestion are still some form of auto-suggestion. And that's why they say that if you consciously fight a hypnotist, it won't work. Because you cannot ever be hypnotized if you don't want to be. There is no physical power to hypnotism or any suggestion that you don't agree with or allow. So when we're discussing or swirling these ideas around, Tyler, it still takes you selling yourself on them through auto-suggestion. right? We make the suggestion, and then you
Still takes you
basically re-implant that as an auto suggestion to yourself.
It's what you build around the suggestion essentially becomes the auto suggestion.
That's
Because
correct.
then it's back and forth. So yes, that's is that,
And that's basically what you're doing all week. What I want to make sure that we get down is going back to the basics, where we left off, or where I left off, is that we need to have a clear goal in mind, right? So when I ask when you're talking about faith, what are we talking about? Let's try that again. What's the faith that we're trying to build quickly in people?
it's the belief, just to have them believe, so that way they're subconscious to believe and then get what they believe of basically what they're asking. So if they believe something,
They
then
convince the subconscious mind that you believe you will receive what you ask for.
Let's not do the academic answer. Let's do the shortened version of what are we trying to accomplish. Let's
Get your
get it.
subconscious mind to believe you can have whatever you want.
believe what you ask.
We're trying to get people to believe in the power of their mind, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to get people to believe in the power of their mind to achieve results. We're also trying, in the power of their mind to achieve results. What you believe.
What you believe is what you become.
In
What
other
you
words,
believe
we're
is
trying
what
to
you
get
become.
people to the point where it's
Kinda
not
like say what you
cliche
mean and mean
or
what
it's
you
not
say,
just a
only in a
saying.
form of faith.
It becomes. In other words, we're trying to get people to the point where it's not cliche. It becomes a true belief that I really can become whatever I want to become. It becomes now. This is something that I want to ask you guys. Do you guys think? Is there new ideas or new thoughts? Is there? Ask you guys. Do you guys think? Is there any such thing as a new idea or a new thought? What do you guys think? There's no right or wrong answer, and I don't know. I don't know the true answer because I don't think anybody does. But what do you guys think about that? There's no right or wrong answer, and I don't know.
I think there is new ideas.
You think there is?
Even ideas that are similar to maybe an idea that someone else had, it's still gonna. If you're connected to your creative imagination, it's still gonna be your way because it's coming from your mind. So it may be similar, but it's still gonna be unique because it's still kind of like your DNA. Like we all have our DNA is similar, but we all have our own DNA, and our creative imagination that's our own stamp. So every idea is that's gonna be on your thought if you're living that way. That's what I think.
Well, that's a good answer. Now now how does that square up? How does that square up with the fact that there is no such thing as new matter on the earth? That basically everything is all matter that exists. Basically, is a reformation of the matter that already exists. In other words, we're never creating new matter. And that's a scientific principle that's proven, right? The Earth has there's X amount of matter on this Earth, and no matter what, there's never going to be more or less. It's basically just a rearranging of atoms. So Matt, just to the other school of thought, okay, is that there are no new thoughts. However, we're rearranging thoughts that are out in the universe or in the ether. And there's certain people who are able to elevate their mind to the creative intelligence to attract those thoughts that already exist. Now I don't know the answer. I don't know, but it's a good. This is what Einstein and Carl Jung started the collective unconscious, meaning these thoughts are already out there. However, once we align ourselves to once we put ourselves in a certain state where we're receptive to an idea, then those ideas come to us, but they already exist. Now, I don't know what the answer is, but it's one of those two. then those ideas come to us, but they already exist. Now, I don't know what the answer is, but it's one of those two.
But that ties into, so then we're getting into from an idea
That's
into infinite
exactly,
intelligence, which is
and
caused by
I'm
the vibrations of others around you that help you extend that idea even
I don't
further.
know that there's a distinction necessarily in what Matt just said and what I'm saying, but the more that I really get into this, the more I get excited because I can see what all these books are talking about. It's saying, guys, however big you want to be, it's already out there. Excited because I can see what all these books are talking about. It's saying, guys, that's why when you look at people, when you look at, give me a second, let me see if I can look up this, the actual. When you look at, give me a second, let me see if I can look up this, the actual.
While he's doing that, I was got something funny. I posted this. It's funny that we're talking about thought because Buddha has a quote. I posted it today on my Instagram. The mind is everything, and what you think you become. And one of the people I work with for fitness, she commented, "How about I let you hold on to my thought and you force me to eat right?"
Look at this. A genius is exceptional intellectual or creative power other than natural ability. A genius is exceptional intellectual or creative power other than natural ability. A genius is exceptional intellectual or creative power other than natural ability. When we look at Einstein or we look at Edison, when we say that they were genius? When we look at Einstein,
Yes.
when we look at Edison, the world thinks of them as genius. And yet, you know what is the common denominator between all these guys?
Yes.
Yes.
The world thinks of them as genius.
The creative mind.
People's ideas.
They were geniuses at using their creative intelligence. They were geniuses at using their what's that? Creative intelligence.
They're God-given tools.
In other words, these were guys
And
who
think about it says,
secretly
and their God-given
understood
tools. Their
that they
creative
could go
intelligence
outside of
and
their
whatever tools they
body
have available to get to
and
These were guys who secretly
go out and get these higher, bigger ideas that did not exist within their own brain. And once they understood that principle, then they were lifelong journeys of just accomplishment after accomplishment after accomplishment, invention and invention after invention. And so remember a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about how I feel like the world is, all of a sudden the world is so, everything we're teaching and everything that we're just becoming so dependent on synthetic intelligence. Everything we're teaching and everything that we're just becoming so dependent on synthetic intelligence. We don't teach the use of creative intelligence anymore. So basically, we're just spit swapping all the same ideas now, and nobody's trying to tap out into that universe, any bigger ideas anymore. It's like now Steve Jobs did the iPad, the iPhone, and the iPod, and all of a sudden we have iPhone, 7, iPhone 7s. We have all these regurgitations of the same fucking ideas, but not one have they come. What happened to the innovation? Where's the new idea? Where's the new expansion? It doesn't exist. You think that's because Apple's not a great company, or is it because Steve Jobs is gone and he was the one with that creative intelligence? It doesn't exist. You think that's because Apple's not a great company, or is it because Steve Jobs is gone and he was the one with that creative intelligence? I happen to think that when he died, I said it, once he was dead, the company was done. Now, that doesn't mean they were going to be done in 2-3 years. I just thought they were done because you cannot replace the magic of creative intelligence. Now, that doesn't mean they were going to be done in 2-3 years. You can put all the people. You can put all the people in the world and all the technical fucking gurus of how to run a company, and we run XYZ runs perfectly, and this, and we'll move money here, and yet it doesn't amount to a hill of beans. You're not going to recreate that magic. I knew when he was gone, that was it. They were going to plateau. You're not going to recreate And sure enough, I mean, they're still up there, but I think they're plateauing. They're to me, their ideas stopped. Y'all agree with that? Sure enough, I mean, they're still up there, but I think they're plateauing. They're to me, their ideas stopped. I don't feel it. I don't. It was one of the things that drew me to Apple is they were always pushing the,
Absolutely.
you know, they were pushing that boundary, and it's dead. It was one of the things that drew me to Apple is they were always pushing. So once again, pushing that boundary, and now we're starting to get some consistent wording and some consistent. So the faith that we're trying to ingrain is that somebody can reach into their mind and that they have a true confidence, right? A true belief that they can create their outcome. That they have control over their outcome far beyond what they might originally think. Is that good? That they have control over their outcome far beyond what they might originally think. Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Now we talked about some of the ideas. Steve, or what's the discussion for affirmations? What are we doing there? Steve,
We haven't got that far, but I think you were saying we should create an idea for a goal for the
We haven't got that far.
website marketing.
Well, let's talk real quick about what different types of affirmations what different types of affirmations are there. Well, let's talk first off about what different types of affirmations what different types of affirmations are there. We have monetary affirmations, right?
Yeah.
Personality affirmations. Personality affirmations. My personal belief is that I've read is that you don't want a lot of affirmations at one time. You want your subconscious to be able to process. So I think I'm of the opinion that at any given time somebody should have two running side by side. One of them is a monetary, and one of them is a personal or personality affirmation of self-confidence. And one of them is a personal or personality affirmation of self-confidence. I've noticed a change in our business structure, in the way we handle things. I've noticed the difference in myself. I've noticed the difference in Steve. I've noticed the difference in just everything that we're doing after I started doing a self-confidence affirmation. That I really had. I never thought I needed one, and I did.
I'll tell you this, just based on going back to that, is that I need to find, because, I think that one that you gave me or whatever is like, what is it, like 10, 20 minutes long? And I really, really love going and doing that one. It really does help. It makes things so much clearer when you come up out of it. But, the only thing is I'm guilty of right now is that I haven't been able to go do it. And I kind of, that almost stresses me enough just because I really do want to go do it. It's just saying, hey, you need to go do it now. And I think that's going to be something that I'm going to have to try to make into my regular routine, because those alone are very powerful, I think, to really generate you or recharge your battery, if you will.
Well, create. How often are you doing them?
Well, that's just it. I mean, I've only been able to get down not once a week, and that's not even nowhere near enough.
You're talking about Thomas Hall once a week?
Yeah, you talked the one you gave me, yeah.
Dude, that's not anywhere near enough, bro. I mean, that's gotta be daily. But I mean, you gotta be the one that finds 20 minutes in your day, man. I mean, it's not that long.
No, you're right. But that's why I bring it up, because I kind of want. That's the reason why I bring it up is because it was my own. I've been feeling the guilt of not doing it because I really wanted to do it, And then I figure if I bring it up and I hear somebody say you need to do that, then I'm going to go do that, and it's going to be a.
Well, I mean, it goes back to you don't have to, but I mean, you're not making that repetitive affirmation, and then your mind gets.
I think I've missed I missed the mark, and that's what I'm trying to say is like I need to get back to that. I mean, like I'm learning a lot with all this, like the home loan, this, that, and the other here, but I just think that now I need to get on that.
Okay, well, but think about this. You've been on this journey for a couple of months, and you're reading all the books, and you're all motivated, and you're all into it, and then. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to tell us that you're doing it once a week, but I'm trying to give you a perspective. You're really into this. You're putting a real commitment, and yet you're only doing it once a week. So what do you expect from the new person?
That's exactly my point. That's why I said what I said out loud.
That's the challenge. It's not. I'm not getting upset at you, Tyler. What I'm saying is that's the challenge that we have to overcome for that brand new person. That's the challenge. Okay, because if you've been doing this for quite a while and it's taking you some time to get into it and to really do the heavy lifting that you got to do daily, which you know, consequently is not heavy at all, but you're doing it once a week, then what can we expect, or what do we need to do for that brand new person who's going to be even less inclined to do this daily? And remember what I said. The reason getting wealthy is so hard is because it's so easy not to do the easy things.
Yeah.
It's so easy daily to put off. The reason getting fit and healthy is so hard is because it's so easy daily to not do it. To put it off to the next day. It's so easy not to that you don't reach your goal. And you push it off. Same thing with this stuff. It's so easy not to put in an affirmation in the evening that 2-3 days go by, and then it's like, oh man, and then oh shit, who was cheated? Well, I cheated myself.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I did cheat myself, and that's the whole. I was gonna basically. I told myself to be accountable. That's what it come down to. So I just trying to.
Let's go through this real quick because I don't know if Matt understands this portion of it. I don't know how deep we went into it. But what are the components of a successful affirmation, Steve? Not just based on this book, but some of the other ones we're going to read. And Power of Subconscious that I gave you guys earlier, that's a very, very, very in-depth book about this process. But what's a requirement?
The right state of mind.
Hold on. Okay, give me a second. Go ahead. Keep going.
The right state of mind. A thought or the right state of mind. The affirmation has to be said in a ongoing tense, like an active tense. The affirmation has to be, and it has to be repetitive. Ongoing. I think those are probably some of the good ones. Let's see what else. And it has to be repetitive. Yes, for sure. Emotional connection, for sure. I think those four are pretty much the keys.
Connection, right?
Yes, for sure.
The book Power of Subconscious Mind has different versions. It actually breaks down the different types. So an emotional connection definitely helps. But there's different states you can be in. Different visualizations so there's different ways. But yes, now the reason I say that, Chad, is because if you do a hypnosis script, you're not emotional. You're not doing emotionally attached. Now the reason I say that, Chad, is because if you understand that. You're not. Remember in the hypnosis, you're generally by the end of the session, you don't even really remember what was said.
Yeah.
And so there's different ways to get there. If you're going to do the emotional route, then you really, really have to meditate or sit down and really think through the imaginative state, I think. He talks about it, right? He played out his council of what's it called? Abraham Lincoln and Henry Ford and all these different people. So if you're going to do the emotional route, then you're gonna have to really kind of role play in your mind how you see everything happening and the outcome with a lot of emotion. The other alternative is that you do the kind of the self-hypnosis auto-suggestion route. With a lot of emotion. The other alternative is that you do the kind of the self-hypnosis auto-suggestion route.
Well, I was referring to one of the components in order to have a good affirmation. So one of those, Steve said, was to have an active state of that affirmation as you're actively wanting to
mindset. Like you got to have the right brainwave to be able to accept it, to get your subconscious mind in a level to where it'll be accepting.
Hey Matt, do you know the different brain state waves?
To be able to accept it, to get your subconscious mind in a level to where it'll be accepting.
You want to write these down, and you guys do some research online. I mean, I encourage you guys to look this up. But this is kind of really important. At the peak of the day, right in the middle of the day, or even right now, our discussion, your brain right now is in what's called the beta brain state. And I don't know if you're going to throw it out there, maybe 20 to 40 megahertz, or hertz. Okay, that's a very active. In other words, your brain waves are very short, and it's a lot of activity, right? Because you're consciously thinking about stuff. You're applying. You're solving problems. You're thinking through stuff. That's your beta brain state. You're consciously thinking about stuff. The next brain state is a more relaxed. We're gonna call that's alpha. The next brain state is more relaxed. Have you ever we're gonna call that's alpha? Driven for a long and then you're like, holy fuck, man, what the fuck just happened? Like
Yeah.
But you weren't asleep, right?
No.
Your body's actually going, you're actually seeing stuff. It's not like you were asleep.
Set a link to a graph you could see.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And so that's alpha. You're in a semi-relaxed meditative state. And so that's alpha. You're in a
Click on the link, Rick. It'll
semi-relaxed. You ever think like throughout the day when you get nervous or you get kind of maybe some negative talk or something's like you don't feel good about yourself or whatever? That's beta. Kind of maybe some negative talk or something's. But you ever notice in that meditative state, either right before you go to bed or while you're driving or whatever, you ever notice that either A, you have happy, positive thoughts or really no thoughts at all? Either right before you go to bed or while you're driving or whatever, you ever notice that either A, you have happy, if you fall asleep, then you're in delta or theta. I'm sorry.
Fall asleep.
well, if you're deep sleep, you're delta. If you're light sleep, theta.
You're gonna go to
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Dream state. Sometimes
if you're deep sleep, you're delta. If you're light sleep, theta.
Well, I'm talking about
it
like
is
sometimes
called
I'll drive and I'll be
micro-sleeping,
thinking
but
so
that
much,
is when
and I'll
you
just
start
fall
going from
asleep,
alpha
like, and
into
I'll wake up and
theta.
be like, oh, it's called micro sleeping. I'm not like passed out, but
Okay.
How do you get to gamma?
That is when you start going from alpha. Gamma is gamma
Get
much
the gamma.
higher?
Gamma is you got to listen to like Pantera or something.
And
Or,
there, I
super-
don't think that's right.
Gamma is you gotta listen to
Gamma
Yeah,
is-
it's high state of consciousness. It's
Yeah,
like your mind is very active.
yeah, but really, most of our life is between beta,
usually
alpha,
psychedelics, I think, too.
theta, and then delta. Delta is deep sleep. Really, most of our life is between
Meditation? Can meditation get you to gamma?
theta and then delta. I believe it can. I don't. Most of in the gamma stage as far as affirmation. So I haven't done a whole lot of research on gamma. It rarely. Gamma's higher, right, than beta?
Yeah, gamma's the highest, 40 to 80 cycles per second.
So I haven't done a whole lot of research on gamma. But there's a reason that I'm starting at even beta and moving my way down, and that is this.
I'm sharing it if you click
From
on
beta
the screen.
up. But there's the reason that. But I have read some stuff on gamma, so I'm not even gonna raise that right now. But basically, beta up. Your conscious mind starts getting more involved in blocking. There comes that bouncer concept again. It starts interfering with your thought process as far as getting to your subconscious mind. So your conscious mind is the club bouncer, right? That we talked about.
Yeah.
And it doesn't want to let certain things in. In order to get to your subconscious mind, you have to slip past the bouncer, which starts to happen from alpha to theta, somewhere in there. In order to get to your subconscious
I think somebody seen out an article, and I'm not sure who it was.
And this is not based on one book. This is not Matt. You are more than welcome. Just look it up over and over and over. So basically, and the power of your subconscious mind is very, very influential and good book on this concept alone, which is that. But I do think Think and Grow Rich talks about this, that we want to slip into a relaxed meditative state when we're going to do auto suggestion or any type of suggestion. That's why they do that in hypnosis. Hypnosis is nothing but all they're doing is they're bringing you down, your brainwaves down to the more meditative state somewhere between alpha and theta. That way, the suggestion goes straight to your subconscious, and your conscious mind doesn't even sit there and block it. Because when you're in that meditative state, your conscious mind is like it's gone. It's
Passed out.
It's passed out. It doesn't talk back. You don't think negative thoughts.
There's no gatekeeper.
It's gone. It's passed out.
Remove the gatekeeper.
That's exactly what you're doing. You're removing the gatekeeper. Once you remove that gatekeeper, your subconscious mind is like a sponge. You can throw in new ideas, and they take hold years faster than they ever would have with your little gold card trying to convince yourself over and over. That's why simple repetition doesn't work. That's why they say you could say something 10,000 times by itself. If you're doing it in the middle of the day with your computer on and your music blaring and at work, you forget it. It's not going to work because your gatekeeper's in the way. You're doing it at the worst time with the worst brain state.
And so Tyler, to help maybe assist you in cracking your own whip, maybe that's a time when you need to kind of be open to the auto suggestion or the affirmations is before you go to sleep. When you're in bed and
I do them every evening. I do them every morning. Without fail. I mean, it's just an automatic. Years. And sometimes in the middle of the day. But hopefully that explains, Matt, why that's so important.
Yeah. I'm gonna do some more research on that. I appreciate the share.
Yeah, I mean, look it up. There's.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
That's why that explains the whole the ability to, reach those levels. That's why people meditate. That's why now there's starting to be a connection as to why it's so important. So when I'm sitting there, listening to a hypnosis script or a meditative chant or whatever it is that I have on YouTube that I'm playing, am I just doing it just because that's what people do? No, I'm doing it because you're getting it, knocking the gatekeeper out. That's all you're doing. That's what people do? No, I'm doing it because you're getting it, knocking the gatekeeper out. That's all you're doing. Now, back again, Tyler. All I can say is don't cheat yourself, man. Don't cheat yourself. You're cheating yourself. Nobody else. Back again, Tyler. You're cheating yourself, and at the same time, if you bring somebody else on board, Tyler, it's going to be that much harder for you to convince anybody else that it needs to be a daily thing when you don't do it daily. Somebody else on board, Tyler, it's going to be that much harder for you to convince anybody else that it needs to be a daily thing when you don't do it daily.
It goes back to what I said earlier. Change is not change until it is challenged.
Not just your
Once it's
weaknesses,
challenged, then
but
you
it
know,
starts to
then
highlight
you
some of the
can more focus
challenges
on
that
those
we're going to come
weaknesses.
up against. This is part of why I say that we have no business trying to expand this to the rest of the world without us having it down cold. We have no business.
I say that we have no business trying to
No sense in trying to share these principles or ideas until we have it down just second nature, down cold, because we're just gonna, it's not gonna work. I mean, you have to be, not, you have to have that such heightened self-confidence and belief in the system for in order for you to be able to sell it to anybody else.
You have to have that such heightened self-confidence.
So the faster you guys get to it, the faster you're going to notice the personal rewards, and then the faster that it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because then the faster you can sell it to others.
The faster you're going to notice.
And when I say sell it, I don't mean necessarily monetarily. I just mean convincing.
Because then the faster you can sell it to others. And when I say sell it, I don't mean necessarily monetarily. I just mean convincing.
Let's look up isochronic tones. I think I told you guys this last week. Isochronic tones. Let's go through that, okay? Let's just look for the most effective method in getting to a relaxation state the fastest possible. That needs to be our next goal.
Let's just look for the most effective method in getting to a relaxation state the fastest.
I haven't personally found anything online that's faster than hypnosis, but music is up there. Isochronic tones are up there, but I don't know that they're as fast.
Faster than hypnosis, but music is up there. Isochronic tones are up there, but I don't know that they're as fast.
All right, guys, I'm gonna log off. I think this was in a way kind of aimed at Matt, but still we're just
All right, guys, I'm gonna
going back through the process. That's okay.
I think this was in a way
Repetition,
kind of aimed at
repetitive.
Matt, but still we're just going back through the process. That's okay. Repetition, repetitive.
Until we have this
There's
down
also
cold,
recorded
there's no,
for Beth
you know, I've been
Phelps,
thinking
so I
about it.
can
There's no
also share
sense
this
in
on
like
the
rushing
website.
through the material just to say we did it.
Until we have this
We'd
down
be
cold,
only fooling ourselves. We need to get this down. We need to have this. It'll show up in our numbers. It'll show up in our and like Steve said, I mean, we don't want to duplicate bad habits.
It'll show up in our numbers. It'll show up in our.
We don't want to duplicate half-ass
duplicate
attempts
bad habits.
either. We need to get this down so that we can then bring in other people, and then it's gonna really at that point, no matter what product, service, or anything that we build, I mean, it's just gonna just take off.
So that we can then bring in other people, and then it's gonna.
So thanks for being on, and everybody I think everybody, let's do a little bit of research this next week of the brain states and anything you can find that that will contribute to putting together some of this material. How do the brain states, what's the fastest way to move through them?
That will contribute.
You can do it as a thread.
Yeah, that's what yeah.
Let's do a thread on brain states and
You can do it as a thread.
Fastest way to get to hypnotic state.
yeah.
Let's do a thread on brain states.
And then then with an EEG machine, right?
Fastest way to get to hypnotic state.
With an EEG machine, it should bear out that the EEG machine is going to read your brainwaves.
EEG machine, right?
The proof will be in the pudding.
I don't know I think we've covered that, but an EEG machine, that one with the electrodes, that's what tells you what brainwaves or brain state you're in. And so if we find a tool that we think is helpful, we can test it out.
Brain state you're in. And so if we find a tool,
It's scientific.
Amazing.
It's scientific. There should be no guessing. All right, man. We'll talk later.
All right.
All right, guys.
It's scientific.
See you guys later.
All right, later.
Bye.
See you, Matt. Get some sleep.
All right, man.
Get some rest, bro.
Hey, get well.
Thanks for being on, everybody. Later.
See you guys
Yeah.
later.
All right. Thank you guys.
Bye.
See you, Matt. Get some sleep.
All right, man.
All right, later, Matt.
Hey, get well.
Thanks for being on, everybody. Later.
Later.